Hey there, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for continuing to tune in each week. It's such a thrill to hear and see our members, some of whom we haven't seen in a while. It's great to catch up with people. So I am grateful to all of you who continue to watch each week. Make sure and leave us just a note here in the comments and let us know that you're watching. We're really grateful to know who's out there and who's getting to participate in these. So let me bring on this week's guest. This is our friend Cara Maldonado. How are ya?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, hey, tell us how you and your family are doing right now.
Oh, much better than we were a year ago.
Right.
It just, it rocked everybody's world for sure. Like all of a sudden, just being in close quarters with each other. And I think Jeff McMillan was teaching our Bible class sometime last year for a quarter. And I guess he had asked one of his students at one point, like, hey, if you could go back to the beginning of quarantine and change something, what would you change? And one of the students said, I would have quarantine with my friends instead of my family. And I felt that, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, but none of us would say that, would we? I
No,
mean,
like you never actually say that, but like
no.
that you totally
No.
like I get that. It's just
Yeah.
once you're in close quarters with people that you love the most, like sometimes
Yes.
the worst version of yourself comes out because you feel
Yep.
comfortable. So,
Yep.
and hopefully you're not that way with your friends. Hopefully you're not that way with your family at all. But
Yeah.
that happens. So,
Yeah. So speaking of family, for people who don't know, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your family?
um, okay. So, my husband's name is Abel. Um, he and I met a couple of years ago. Actually, it's been a lot longer than a couple of years, but he is an immigrant from Mexico. That's a huge part of our story. He and I are both bilingual. We raise our kids, we speak to them bilingually. They're obviously like half of each of us. So that is a huge part of our dynamic. Just in general, God is always finding places and ways to plug us into Hispanic and Spanish ministry in ways that it like sneaks up on us. A lot of times, we have been at Memorial Road for like 7 years now, I think, and obviously everything's in English. But I feel like God is always finding ways to plug us in into Hispanic or Spanish ministry, and it has been a huge blessing that I really never saw coming in my life. But our kiddos are Maya is our oldest. She is 7. Nolan is our middle. He is 5. And Liam is our youngest. He is 3. And we have been married almost 9 years.
Well, how about this is I'll spring this on you real quick, but if you happen to have any Spanish speaking friends watching, do you want to extend to them a brief greeting?
I can.
Please do.
Para mis hermanos y mis amigos que están viendo, bienvenidos a este video. Espero que se sienten bendecidos, que se sienten toda la bendición de Dios sobre ustedes. Gracias por estar con nosotros y que esto es algo que te bendecía.
Thank you. And for those out there who might not have understood what you just said, will you give us a brief summary or translation in English?
Oh, just, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I hope that you feel blessed by watching this, that you receive and feel the blessing of God over your life. And I hope that this is a place where you feel blessed.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I hope, welcome to those who are watching. So let's talk about COVID. Have you
Oh,
or anyone close to you, as much as you feel comfortable telling us, have you or anyone close to you had COVID 19?
my brother-in-law did. He actually Christmas morning woke up with all
Wow.
feelings, and so it threw our Christmas shindigs obviously out the window, and we ended up we haven't done Christmas at all. We ended up like having to meet up and just exchange gifts by doorstop, and we still haven't, like, our schedules have just not been congruent. So my brother-in-law had it, and my daughter technically, like, she tested positive about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Her symptoms only lasted like 12 hours. So none of the rest of us had any symptoms. We still did quarantine and all that, but it was kind of rowdy because we were sick, but we weren't sick. And so,
Yeah.
but we were blessed that, that was the worst of it. So,
Right.
yeah.
So we've got loss of life and health that a lot of people have experienced. Those are the most obvious, the most serious ones, the ones we grieve about for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We've also all just experienced other kinds of losses in our life, normalcy, routine, relationships. So talk to us about some of the other losses that you and your family have processed or experienced this year.
Oh, independence.
Yeah.
Not being in control. I guess those would probably be the two biggest ones. As parents, from like our kids' perspective, probably a lot of the same. Our kids probably feeling that, just lack of understanding what's going on, and a huge lack of control on their part too. When we were in complete lockdown for a while and we couldn't go play in the front yard, we could play in the backyard. They just couldn't understand why we couldn't go out in the front yard and ride our bikes or things like that. And that's a big adjustment for little people with big feelings. And they took it really hard, as everyone did.
Yeah, I love that phrase, little people with big feelings.
Oh.
I think a lot of us this year have been big people also with big feelings as we process things. Talk about church life. How have you guys stayed connected to church? Some people are streaming only, some people are here in person, some people are back and forth, and we love everybody who's doing everything and respect choices. So talk to me about how you and your family have been connected to church.
When was it? Last summer when we started meeting in the parking lot, we were there. There's just nothing for us personally. There's nothing like worshiping in person. And we actually really enjoyed it. Being able to be outside in nature. I say nature, we were in a parking lot and lawn chairs, but it kind of threw us back to like church camp days. And we really enjoyed worshiping in person in the parking lot, socially distanced and all that. But it was just a totally different experience than either one of us had ever had. And we were so blessed. We looked forward to it, being in a parking lot for church at 9:00 in the morning, 8:00 in the morning, whatever time it was. We really enjoyed it. And then when we were able to be in the church building, we have been at church. So.
Well, I think our memories outdoor will last forever. That will always just be a part of our church's collective memory and history, is those months we were outside in the parking lot. And, someone suggested to me a while back that we should do that once every summer just as a commemoration. And the sentimental part of me said, that'd be awesome. The part of me that doesn't want to get up and do the work to get it ready said, no thanks. I don't ever want to do that again.
I think I even shot Scott an email and was like, can we do WOW like that every year? I so enjoyed being in the forum. I'm sure it was crazy difficult, but it really did feel like church camp to me.
It was pretty cool. There's a lot of neat things about that. And if we hadn't been having to do it because of, terrible pandemic, it would have been even more fun, So let's talk about God being at work. It's been a hard year, lots of things we can justifiably be sad about. And those we don't minimize those. But I wonder if you have seen God at work even in a difficult year and how that might be.
Oh yeah. I mean, how could you not? Last year, at the beginning of last January, a lot of us search for a word that we want to focus on, or a scripture to focus on for the year. And I kept praying into the Spirit that God would give me the word that He wanted me to focus on. And the word that just kept coming back to me over and over was refinement. And I didn't really like that word, only because it felt hard. Refinement is refining by fire. I think of gold and being burned to purify and to refine. And so I remember walking in my neighborhood, and the song I learned in youth group, Refiner's Fire, came on my Spotify playlist as I was walking. And the lyrics were, I think they still are. Refiner's fire. My heart's one desire is to be holy, set apart for you. And and it just kind of hit me like God was sincere in that he was going to start a refinement process. And I just didn't know what that meant. And so in March, when we all just kind of got stuck in the house together, it was very, very clear to me very quickly that the refining that he was going to do is in my relationship with my kids. And I am not a bad mom, not by any stretch of the imagination. I don't believe those lies that the enemy tries to put in, but there is a thing to be said for like bad habits established in our parenting. And it's not until we have to confront it that God uses that hard thing to really purify and draw into repentance and to bring rebirthing and new life. And that was probably the biggest thing that came out of 2020 for me specifically, was this refinement, this rebirthing, this purging, if you will, of bad habits in how I approach parenting with the kids, and really bringing new life to all of that.
Wow, I appreciate your thoughts on that. That is detailed and important stuff. And so maybe along with that, you talked about maybe some opportunities with your parenting. Are there some opportunities that even in a hard year you became aware of?
Opportunities that I became aware of. Time.
Yeah.
That I think 2020 was a gift, and that it really forced us all to take a breath and slow down. We have the same as we're kind of rushing to get back to a hurried lifestyle. We have the same amount of hours now that we did then.
Right.
And I remember hearing by somebody I follow on Instagram saying, if we don't walk through this hard thing without learning something out of it, then what was the point? And so we have the same amount of hours now that we did like 9 months ago. What are we doing with it? Yeah. Like, time is a gift and time is an opportunity, but it's also a choice and how we manage it.
Yep. So let's talk about the year ahead. What are you hopeful about in 2021?
Growth, like personal developmental. I pray that, this refinement process, that this work that God has been doing with me and my kids the last 9 months, it's not over. I haven't yet just outgrown some old habits. Like, I'm still in that refinement process. And so my prayer is that the Lord will continue, because I know he's faithful, continue to disciple me and discipline me as a parent so that I can better shepherd and disciple these tiny hearts with big feelings that he loaned to me, and that I continue to take that process very seriously and grow in it in a mature way that honors him.
I appreciate the wisdom you're sharing. You have obviously spent time thinking about this, and I'm grateful for all of us who try to process a hard year and think deeply about what's ahead. So thank you, Cara, for being here. Thank you for sharing your encouraging thoughts. Hey, everyone who's watching, leave a greeting for Cara in the comments here on Facebook or YouTube. We would love to know that you're here. I'm sure she'd love to see who all is watching this. So thanks for being here very much. Everyone, thank you so much for continuing to join in each week. We're glad that you're here. We hope these are encouraging to you. We will see you here again next week at the same time on Facebook and YouTube for another God at Work conversation.